What's going on, Jam Fam? Welcome back to the Gaming Station. Today, I'm going to be doing my review of the newest legendary brawler, Meg. She can either be one of the weakest brawlers in the game, or pretty average, depending on if you have her super up or not. Let's get started, and I'll explain what I mean. Okay, so Meg's gonna be a little different than how we normally do this part. That's because she basically becomes an entirely different brawler once you activate her super. So we'll basically have to explain the basic stats twice for both her base and her mech form. Okay, base Meg has the same amount of HP as Tick, being just over 3,000. This means that Meg can't take very many hits from any brawler, and that's to help balance her out a little bit. Basically, all of Meg's strength is locked behind her super, so the low amount of HP means you need to play her pretty passively at the beginning of most matches. As for Meg's main attack, she shoots out 2 projectiles that each deal 420 damage, meaning her max damage potential per attack is 840. She does have really long range, and she's very auto-aim friendly, so it is easy to stay at a safe distance and deal a little bit of chip damage till you can get your super up, and it's safe to use it. But after landing 6 projectiles, you'll fully charge Meg's super, and when you use it, she'll climb into her mech robot Rob. To me, Rob is the real brawler, and Meg is just her Escanor Knight form for it. Alright, now we're going to jump into the mech stats. So the mech has 7,000 HP, and this thing is basically a ranged tank, and I tend to play it very similar to Pam. Using the mech's high HP and range attacks, you're going to be able to lock down your lane pretty easily and just generally be difficult to take down in most 1v1 situations. One thing to keep in mind is that there is a health decay on the mech. It's 150 HP per second, and when the mech dies, Meg will jump out of it, so she's not totally dead, but she will have no ammo and will spawn with the amount of HP she had before she got into the mech. So try to make sure that you heal up before you get into the suit, and once your suit starts to get a little low on HP, try not to go too aggressive, because when Meg spawns out of it, she is a bit of a sitting duck. She doesn't have much HP, and she's going to have no ammo to defend herself, so it's going to be a hard matchup for her. Rob's main attack shoots out 8 projectiles that each do 336 damage. That's a total of about 2,600 damage if you can land all 8 projectiles, but that's a very big if. A lot like Pam, the mech's unload speed is pretty long, and it's very easy for a target to sidestep the shots once the animation has started. You'll pretty much always land some of the projectiles, but unless a person is lagging or totally brain dead, you won't land all of them. Now, moving on to Rob's super, it auto charges every 5 seconds, and it's a melee attack that swipes in front of it, dealing 3,360 damage. This is a ton of damage, and it's extremely punishing for players that play way too aggressive and don't realize you have it in hand. You can one-shot most squishy brawlers with it, and it's still very punishing even for tanks. It's a very good super, but there's a major drawback, and that's its range. Since it's a melee attack, you need to either play very aggressive to use it, or you need the enemy to play very aggressive. And all of that leads me to say why I think Meg is generally going to be an okay brawler, but not OP by any stretch of the word. She's a very easy brawler to play around despite her having such a strong kit. Meg is very weak when she doesn't have her mech, and then when she does, all you need to do is keep your distance and deal a little chip damage to get her out of it. The mech's main attack is very easy to avoid, its super is basically useless if you don't let her get close to you, and the mech cannot passively heal without Meg using her gadget. This means at lower trophies, where players tend to play a little bit more aggressive, she's going to feel very strong because you're going to be able to take full advantage of her kit. But once people learn to avoid her and she can't take advantage of her super and her attacks aren't landing quite as frequently, she's just going to feel okay at best. All that being said, I really like playing Meg. I find her base kit very fun because of her fast movement speed and very easy to land shots. And the mech's playstyle is basically my preferred playstyle. Very control-oriented, but also being very punishing to aggressive players. Now, I said I don't think she's going to be the best aggro brawler, so a lot of people may not like her for that reason, but if you like playing brawlers like Pam, then you're probably going to like playing Meg too. Meg's gadget is called Jolting Volts, and it can only be used when she's in her mech, and it heals the mech for 450 HP per second for 5 seconds. Now, this doesn't cancel out the HP decay the mech already has, so the net healing from this gadget is only about 1,500 HP when the 5 seconds is up. I'm honestly not a very huge fan of this gadget. It honestly really isn't good when you're in the middle of a fight because you only heal about 300 HP per second when you figure in the health decay that the mech has, and then on top of that, you're taking damage from enemies, so I don't think it's going to get you the upper hand in most fights. However, you can use it when there's a lull in the match, and it's a very good way to keep your mech's HP in a decent range, so there's definitely uses for it in pretty much every single match, as long as you're taking advantage of Meg's range and not always in an aggro position. So while I definitely don't think it's the best gadget in the game, it does have its uses in every match, so it's far from the worst. Meg's first star power is called Force Field, and this star power gives Meg a 35% shield for 30 seconds after her mech is destroyed, and I personally think this is a very good star power for Meg. Base Meg really likes to have this damage reduction since her HP is so low. And while the duration and the damage reduction are both kind of high, I don't think this is an overpowered star power because Meg is still very easy to take out even if she has this shield up. So because Meg is so weak to begin with, and the shield kind of addresses one of her biggest weak points, I think this is a really good star power for her. Alright, Meg's second star power is called Self-Destruction, and this makes it so that when the mech dies, it deals 1000 damage and knockback to enemies around it. And personally, I don't think people are going to really like this star power. First off, it only deals 1000 damage, which, like I said before, I don't really think is enough damage to make a huge difference in most interactions. Second off, from the looks of it, it looks like the range is going to be extremely small, and it's going to be easy for enemies to sidestep the effect entirely. And finally, as I touched on earlier, I don't think Meg is great to play in a very aggro style since they made it so that she spawns without ammo out of her mech. Her being so weak and having no ammo or shield to help defend herself after losing her mech is just not a great situation Meg wants to be in. So for those reasons, I don't think this is going to be a great star power for her. If it did a little more damage or if it stunned enemies or something like that, I could see it being decent. But as it is, I think most of the time you're better off running Force Field instead. Okay, so for Meg's good matchups, she definitely likes to push into mid-range brawlers like Tara, Carl, and Sandy. They typically have lower damage, so once Meg is in her mech, they will struggle to take her out quickly, and Meg can get their HP down pretty easily if they can't avoid her shots. Meg was also pretty good against spawners as well, the main ones being Penny, Jessie, and Nita. They also struggled with taking down the mech, and Meg is very good at taking out their spawnables by using her range or her super. Of the spawner brawlers, Ash is the one you really want to avoid in my opinion. Meg can struggle against the rats, and they will feel his rage if they hit you, and that will allow him to destroy the mech very easily, and he can two-shot Meg when she's not in the mech. So at this point, I'm gonna segue into bad brawlers, and the first set of brawlers that I really would suggest avoiding with Meg is tanks. They are very good to get your super off of early in a match, but other than that, they do bully her. They can do a ton of damage to take down the mech, and they can dance around it to avoid her shots pretty easily. And then, of course, when Meg is out of the mech, she stands no chance if they're too close to her. Next up, throwers and snipers both gave me a very hard time. They either outranged me or they hid behind walls and made it very difficult to deal with them. Of course, bad players will let Meg get too close to them and she can one-shot them with the mech super, but good players will not let that happen and their teams are going to help out when you go too aggro to try to get close to them. So sure, in 1v1 close quarters matches, Meg will win those matchups, but in a real match, she's going to struggle to even get close. And the last set of brawlers that I really struggled against with Meg were tank busters, of course. Griff was a really big one for me, but Amber and Ems were also up there. But honestly, this shouldn't be a surprise for everyone. Meg is a ranged tank, and their whole kit is based around melting brawlers from a safe distance. Okay, starting off with Meg's good modes, of course there's Brawl Ball. She is really good at holding control of the middle of the field with her range, and when things get near the goal, she can take full advantage of the mech's devastating super. And as with most high HP brawlers, she is very good at just carrying the ball across the goal, but she also has the benefit of not dying if she fails to get over the goal, since the mech will break and she can just run away. Now, the next mode I would say Meg is pretty good in is Gem Grab. Honestly, I did struggle a little bit with randoms, but I'm going to attribute that more to being in lower trophies than Meg actually being bad in the mode herself. To me, she's an amazing lane brawler because she is a ranged tank, so she's very good at just holding down a lane. And when the mech has the super, she can punish brawlers who push too far up by hitting them with 3000 damage with one attack. And she can also work as a gem carrier in a pinch, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend her being the team's primary gem carrier since she's so weak without her mech. And the last two modes that I would guess she's probably decent in are both Hot Zone and Siege. Now, I didn't play these modes at all, so this is all total speculation. But she's a very good control brawler, and these are modes where control brawlers generally do pretty well. Her just being in a general area is a good reason for brawlers to just keep their distance, and in both modes, that's kind of the overall goal. However, since I didn't actually play her in these modes, I can't really give specific reasons for it, so we're just going to move on. Now, for modes you definitely want to avoid when playing Meg, I would say you should definitely avoid Bounty. I already said she definitely isn't good when she's pushing into snipers, and the Bounty meta is normally all snipers. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but the mech does receive reduced healing from brawlers like Poco and Byron, so you can't even run her in an aggro heal comp like you would with like Poco Double Tank or like Ash Byron or something like that. So between those two things, I don't see how she could ever find her way into the Bounty meta. And the other mode I would say you want to avoid with Meg is probably Heist. She can do good damage to the safe with both her main attack and her super, but again, the problem is going to be the meta. Real wall heavy maps are going to favor both tanks and throwers, and the real open maps are going to favor snipers. All of those are brawlers that I tended to struggle against, so I don't think she's going to fit in very well with the meta. She can obviously work because, like I said, she can do good damage to the safe, but honestly, I think you're better off running a different brawler entirely. On paper, her mech is very strong. It has a ton of HP and damage potential, but because of the way it's designed, I don't see it being very dominant once you get to about 600 or 700 trophies. Base Meg is purposely designed to be very weak, and when she's out of her mech, her shot pattern and super are both very easy to avoid if you play around her right. But overall, I do really think Meg is fun to play. She's a lot like Pam, being a tank with decent range that shoots multiple projectiles and favors a very control-oriented playstyle. The big difference is that the mech super allows Meg to be very punishing to brawlers that play a little too aggressive. If you like playing Pam, you're probably going to enjoy playing Meg as well. But what do you guys think about Meg? If you unlocked her, let me know what you like or dislike about her, and if you didn't, let me know what you find annoying about playing against her. If you enjoyed this video, leave a sub. I try to do these videos every single time a new brawler comes out, so there's definitely going to be more to come soon, as well as other stuff. But that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.